Just moved to San Diego and wow, I'm underwhelmed is a post I just saw on Reddit. So let's break it down. Hey folks, I've been living in San Diego for about 6 months now, the North Park area, which I'll show you on a map. It's kind of right outside of downtown. And I can't shake this feeling that the city is kind of empty. I've lived in some proper European cities my whole life, London, Berlin, Barcelona, and San Diego feels like a sprawling suburb with a fancy beach, which it kind of is. But don't get me wrong, the weather is nice and the tacos aren't bad, but everything feels so manufactured. There's no real density, no real urban soul. You have to drive everywhere. The downtown is tiny compared to what I'm used to, and honestly, the city vibe just feels forced. Cafes and craft beer bars every few blocks don't make it feel alive. I honestly miss being able to just walk out my door and bump into weird little streets, tiny markets, unexpected bookshops, street art everywhere, you know, that messy, chaotic European energy. Here it's just tidy lawns, SUVs, and mid-century houses. I feel like I live in a postcard city, not a real city. Has anyone else felt that way? Did you eventually learn to like San Diego? Or is this just a city you tolerate if you love the sun? And those are all great questions, and we're gonna break down them all because that's what we do on this channel. We help people moving right here to San Diego. We've helped a lot of families move out this way. And we're gonna break down this whole post and let you know what it's really like living here in San Diego, because that's what we do on this channel, whether it be out and about, showing you different neighborhoods, pros and cons, everything in between. We let you know what it's really like to live right here in San Diego as a lifelong local. I'm Chris Erickson, and we got a real estate crew. We've helped a ton of families move out this way and would love to help you as well if you are thinking about moving out here. So if you are thinking about it and you want to start that conversation, hit us up, call, text, or email, because we got your back when making the move here to San Diego. So first up, yeah, San Diego is just a bunch of suburbs. Once you get into downtown San Diego, this is where you fly into downtown San Diego. You see North Park just on the northeast side of Balboa Park right here. So just a quick shot to downtown San Diego. But right down here is where you're gonna find the most density in San Diego. The most older neighborhoods as San Diego got built out, kind of got built out from here and coastal, and then started going inland. Now the city of San Diego, right now we have highlighted the county of San Diego, which goes pretty far into the deserts over here. You go into the mountains in the middle here, and then you have all of the suburbs. This is where the majority of people are living. So majority of people are living in this little section. You do have some outskirts, but this is going to be the bulk of it. But like I said, the city of San Diego, it does go all the way up past the 56, up to the 15, touches Escondido a little bit. So the population of the city of San Diego is actually 1.3 million. Once you get into the county, it's about 3.3 million. But I'll show you where it compares as far as density compared to like Orange County or LA, because you might be surprised. But once you get out of downtown, you have all these coastal cities: Del Mar, Solana Beach, Encinitas, Carlsbad, Oceanside, and then you have a ton of inland cities where you're looking at San Marcos, you're looking at Poway over here, you're looking at certain other areas that you might have heard of that are actually within the city of San Diego. Carmel Valley is the city of San Diego. Rancho Bernardo is the city of San Diego. La Jolla, technically, actually the city of San Diego, even though there are thoughts about potentially they're trying to make their own spot become their own city, but that's just in the works. And then as you go into the east, or down south, you have Chula Vista, and then you go to the east. So basically it is just a sprawling suburb. You know, downtown San Diego, not that big. It's a smaller downtown footprint where you have the 5 freeway on one side, and then everything else is set in here where you have, you know, a few commercial buildings. I mean, not a few. It's bigger than I'm making it sound, but it's not like a huge sprawling metropolis where you have Petco Park here. You have the Rady Shell, some great venues down there, convention center. So a ton of conventions, a ton of meetings, Comic-Cons down that way. You have the Gaslamp Quarter where you have a bunch of restaurants and, you know, that kind of stuff going on. So that's kind of like the central hub. Most people who are moving here, when they reach out, they're like, hey, we're moving to San Diego. It's very rarely downtown San Diego. It's all of these other areas of San Diego. So we have a lot of clients who have moved up to this North County area, which we focus on a lot. Encinitas is, and San Marcos, and Vista, and Carlsbad, Oceanside, all those areas. But there are so many other areas that people do live right here in San Diego. All right, so let's break down the next part. Don't get me wrong, the weather is nice and the tacos aren't bad. Now, in some of the rest of this post, they're talking about obviously tacos here in San Diego are some of the best you're gonna find anywhere, but is there other good food here? I'll show you where we stand in that front. I think over this past few years, San Diego has definitely come up in the food scene. Are we top of the heap? Definitely not. But certain little areas, certain specific spots within San Diego are definitely up and coming in the food scene and adding to a little bit of that flavor within San Diego. Now the weather, yeah, San Diego as a whole, it's mild weather, right? We've covered that in a ton of other videos. We don't necessarily need to get into that too much, but let me give you a quick little story about what family and I did this week and give you a little insight into some of these beautiful days we do have in December where, Cassidy, who is on this channel, actually was just out in Buffalo watching a Buffalo Bills game. But, the weather there, watching it on TV, it was nasty. It was cold. It was rainy. It just was, not necessarily snowing, but not warm either. It didn't look fun. Here in San Diego, yeah, we get a few of those days, not necessarily that cold, but let me just show this past weekend. It's the end of December. Family and I are looking for something to do, so let's head out. We go out to the coast, and it's 70 degrees. It's gorgeous out. We're just like cruise around, go down to downtown Encinitas. You grab a nice burger at Rosemary's, which is a newer spot right here in Encinitas. Go across the street, kind of cruise around downtown Encinitas, check out a few little shops. Then we decided to take a walk. We're going walking. This is like, little after noon on a Saturday. Go down, walk. It's busy. It's down there. Some of these downtown areas within certain cities, that's where it does get a little bit busy. Once you go off those strips, it's pretty dead. It's pretty quiet for the most time. It closes down. A lot of places close down, not closed down, but it's very quiet after like 9 o'clock at night. You're not going to hear too much going on, but these downtown areas is where you're going to find the energy within a lot of these cities. Anyways, we're walking down, checking out, cruising around, enjoying the sunshine. We go down to Swami's Beach over there, cruise down, hang out on the beach. It's, like I said, a December day here in San Diego. Not much in terms of waves going on. Water's cold as well, so if you're going out surfing, swimming, anything like that, it's gonna be cold, right? And that's for most of the year as well. But people down there, it was a beautiful day. So that's just like a nice December day we get here quite often right here in San Diego. Now we got a little storm coming in, but it's not too bad. We're not getting snow, we're not getting, all that kind of stuff. But let's talk about the food scene and where we have seen that change over these past few years. So according to a recent study, San Diego ranked at number 10 for the best foodie cities in America. So in honor of World Food Day this October, Wallet Hub released their report 2025's best food cities. So Wallet Hub compared 182 cities. Each metric was graded on a 100-point scale. San Diego received a total score of 66.35 and ranked 10th in diversity, accessibility, and quality, but was 127th in affordability. One of the biggest things about San Diego, if you've been looking at houses, you've been thinking about moving here, obviously it's expensive. The food is no different. And just for a little comparison, in first place was Miami with a score of 73.58 because of the availability of affordable rated restaurants at 4.5 out of 5 stars, and an extremely high number of restaurants per capita. Now, she mentioned tacos there. Yes, San Diego is one of the top spots for tacos, for Mexican food, for all that kind of stuff. And could give you like 1,000 different places. Most people are going to the places that are close to their house. There's a few different styles. You have taco shops, just grab and go kind of things. You have the sit down spots. You have some gourmet spots. So there's a lot of different styles of Mexican food here. But even comparing it to like LA, I was looking how many restaurants are compared. There's like 1,700 in San Diego compared to like over 5,000 in LA. So a lot more up there, but doesn't take away from the quality down this way. And like I said, I'm not gonna go through the spots. It's usually like, even like tacos, some of my go-tos, yeah, fish tacos, carne asada tacos. I also got some birria tacos recently over at Los Tacos, one of my favorite spots. But like I said, there's 1,000 of them. If you guys want to see some more, there's a guy who does like food reviews and stuff here in San Diego, Gareth Eats. Go check him out. I think he broke down the top 4 or 5 California burritos. Now, California burrito, yeah, a thing. It's potentially invented here in San Diego. Not really my go-to. If I'm getting burritos, I'm usually going like surf and turf, or one of the best things about living here in San Diego is the breakfast burritos. So it comes down to the salsas a lot. But anyways, there's a lot of different places. But as far as getting into, where are the best spots to eat? Where are the best places for food. Now, yeah, there's a few different little areas, right? You have downtown San Diego, a ton of little spots in there. Even that North Park area that she mentioned, there's a few little streets in there, kind of like the main drags. And that's where you're gonna find the most spots to eat. So as you're going up the coast, like all along Coast Highway up here is where you're gonna find like the little downtown areas. And that's where you're gonna find the most density of restaurants and the most different spots to eat. And then there's a few different areas too. Once you get inland, some of these areas, like I grew up in San Marcos, and it is definitely, some areas are what I call food deserts, where you're like, yeah, there's a few spots here and there, but it's kind of few and far between. And are they that good? Or are they just close to your house and this and that? So it's definitely some areas in some of the suburbs that you're like, okay, definitely not the best for food. As you go to those downtown areas, you're gonna find your local spots. Even right here in San Marcos, they're building out something called North City, which is this big area right in here. And it's gonna be the new downtown, maybe not even just of San Marcos, but of North County. So I just read the biggest apartment building built this year, and it's in San Marcos, which is kind of weird, but it was like almost 500 units. It was about 22 stories high. So anyways, there's a huge developments going on right in San Marcos. And then, like I said, like Escondido has its little downtown, all those little downtown hubs. Sometimes when you get into some of the Poway's, some of the Scripps Ranch, yeah, it's a little few and far between. And as you explore more, you're gonna find other spots like Convoy down in Curdy Mesa right here. Some great Asian food, a ton of different restaurants in there. And there's these little hubs here and there that you're gonna find little spots like that within San Diego. It's just a matter of getting out and actually exploring and checking out these little areas. Now, what about cafes, craft beer bars every few blocks? It doesn't make it feel alive. Those are some of my favorite spots, actually. San Diego is known as the capital of craft because we have a ton of different breweries here, and there's over 150 breweries as of now, with over 200 different little tasting rooms, tap rooms, all that kind of stuff. And every single bar, every single restaurant, every single place you go is going to have some high quality, super local beers on tap. And also just back to the vibe, not hustle and bustle, just kind of chill, relax, that kind of stuff. These are some of the best places. You know, we'll go, I'll go some buddies, we'll go play some chess at some local breweries here, enjoy a few good beverages, a few good beers. It's just like a good hang. You're gonna find good communities in these areas too. So not only is it good beer, but it's also good people in a lot of these spots. And then in here, she talks about the walkability, getting outside, actually going to little spots right around your house. Some of those areas are very specific. There's certain areas that are walkable, but it's not the bulk of San Diego. Most of the San Diego is going to be these suburbs, right? And now I got 2 kids, so my walkability is like, can I get to a park? Can I walk to school? Is there little areas for me to get out with the kids? A little tennis court nearby, a little playground nearby, something like that. And walkability too, for me at least, is getting to these spots, but little sidewalks here and there. Now there's certain areas, especially as you go like the eastern portion of San Diego, where you're gonna get into some of the rural areas. San Diego does have a bunch of rural, where you're getting into mountains, where you're getting into that, where it's definitely not as walkable. Also, some of the other cities like Rancho Santa Fe, not very walkable, not a ton of sidewalks in there. Certain areas of Vista, not very walkable. Certain areas of Encinitas, where you get back to the east, like Livin, not very walkable. You're gonna find a lot of those spots. Where you get in the central hubs, like the North Parks, downtown San Diego, South Park, Hillcrest, all those areas, super walkable. You're gonna find sidewalks everywhere. Definitely in a lot of the suburban areas too. Carmel Valley, Rancho Bernardo, certain areas of Poway is kind of like mixed, because it's like half rural, it's half kind of, a little more suburban. So you'll find a little bit of a mix, but I think that's the beauty of it, where you do have a little bit of that, but like walkability in my sense and for my purposes is a little bit different than actually being like downtown and being able to walk to this little restaurant or this little coffee shop. Now, like I said, all these little downtown areas, you're gonna find it is somewhat walkable, where if you're close enough to it, but it's not really the overall theme right here in San Diego. Now, a lot of people who are thinking San Diego or moving to California, a lot of people we talk to they mentioned a few things like, yeah, LA is on the list too, some a little bit further north in California, but Orange County could be on the list too. So of the 3, Orange County is actually the most densely populated, followed by Los Angeles, then San Diego County. So Orange County has just shy of 4,000 people per square mile. LA has about 2,400 people per square mile. Now, San Diego, the city, like I mentioned, once you get in kind of that downtown, the North Park where they were, those sort of areas, that's going to be a little bit more dense, where you're looking at about 4,300 people per square mile. But the county as a whole, when we're comparing counties, you're looking about 1,000 to 1,500. So it's a little bit dense. It's a little bit misleading, like I said, because when most people are living in that first little third of, the coastal region going into the foothills and stuff, once you get into the mountains and deserts, it's very sparsely populated. But nonetheless, as a whole, you're going to tend to find that San Diego is going to be a little bit less dense than these other two spots. Now, what about something she didn't mention, which is happiness? How is that even measured? Well, San Diego ranked third as the third happiest city in the US, 34th worldwide by a British think tank. And in the list, European and Asian cities led the list, with the first American one, New York, ranking at 17th. Minneapolis was next US city on the list at 30th. San Diego ranked between two historic European cities, Lyon in France and Bruges in Belgium, which is the highest marks for governance and environment. The cities were ranked by 82 indicators in 6 categories, including citizens, governance, environment, economy, health, and mobility. But really, happiness where you live comes down to what you're looking for, what's important to you, and making sure where you end up checks all those boxes. So yeah, San Diego, definitely not for everybody. But if you are thinking about moving out here and you want to dive in, like I said, San Diego's so big and there's so many different little areas and suburbs and different little neighborhoods that could work for you. And you want to start that conversation and kind of narrow that down and help figure out if this area of San Diego or one specific area of San Diego is for you. Got to reach out. I'm Chris Erickson. We got a real estate crew right here in San Diego, and we got your back when making the move here to San Diego.